Support for the show comes from Carolina Forward, a nonpartisan organization dedicated to building a more equitable, democratic, and prosperous North Carolina.
You can learn more about their vision and values at carolinaforward.org.
North Carolina State Highway Patrol.
What cigarette do you smoke, Doctor?
A contributing factor to our juvenile delinquency of today.
Rock and roll has got to go.
And welcome back to the Hometown Holler. I'm Daniel Ayers.
And I'm Quinn Ray. Well, hey, man.
Here we are.
We are indeed a day before election.
It has been a roller coaster
Yes.
of a day, a week, a month, a year.
Everything leading up to this. Early voting is over. Tomorrow, Tuesday, is going to be election day. And then we're going to see who's going to be at the seat of the most powerful country in the world.
And before we go further, I want to tell folks listening, if you're listening to this after Election Day, this is still going to be a relevant podcast.
Sure.
We're going to talk about some things that are evergreen.
Yeah.
It is very timely. Like, this is the day before Election Day, but we're going to talk about some things that I think will, be worth revisiting.
Yeah.
In the days, weeks to come.
So how are you feeling?
Okay, so 2024, a lot like 2020, feels like 2 years in one. You know how 2020, there was like January through March?
Yep.
And then there was the whole rest of 2020 that kind of bled into 2021?
Yep. All of the COVID madness.
Right. 2024 has kind of felt like up to, I was going to say Biden's debate, but it's really, I would feel like Kamala's ascension.
Yes.
Is the moment where things took a shift.
Yeah, about 70 days ago or something.
Yeah. So it feels like this has been not necessarily a long year, but like a year that's been cut into two small years.
Yeah, I feel that without a doubt.
You and I were at we went to a Kamala Harris rally.
We did.
Which I will say, like, this election season, I'm proud of myself. I've made the rounds. I've done a Trump rally.
Yep.
I've done a Mark Robinson rally.
Bless you.
God. And I've done a Kamala Harris rally.
And Kamala was pretty cool.
It was, I mean, just objectively speaking,
Right.
From an organizational standpoint, a superb event.
Staffers everywhere. Directing you where to go.
People were assisted. There was water. There was no confusion.
Right.
It was so well organized. It was shaded.
Yeah, and even though it was full of people that agree, right? Most people there were going to vote for Kamala. I didn't really hear much hate talking about anybody or any group.
No, it was such a positive vibe. Like, I'm gonna contrast it with the two other rallies I went to, right?
Yeah.
Standing in line at a Trump rally. We stood in line about the same amount of time. You know, you and I were at that rally for probably 5 hours.
Yep.
And that was about how much time it was for me at the Trump rally. And most of the time is waiting. And unlike the Trump rally, I was waiting in a field under the sun without easy access to food, water, or a bathroom. I mean, they had food trucks at the Kamala Harris rally. They didn't have food trucks at the Trump rally. There were people who had medical emergencies, which happens in a crowd of 10,000 people.
Sure.
Like, we've all been to festivals.
It's going to happen.
Especially when you're in the mosh pit.
And they were quick to respond.
They were so, again, I was just impressed. It was like everybody's taking this seriously. And, I mean, again, there are music festivals that don't handle those kinds of events as well. So I was really impressed with it. It definitely, everything about it screamed competence. And it left me, it reminded me that there are and have always been more pathways to victory for Kamala than for Trump.
Sure.
And I think that's objectively true. And like you were saying, it was also refreshing to be in a place around strangers, a very diverse crowd, and there was no sense of animosity.
Right.
There was no sense of there was no bad juju.
Right.
It was all positivity. And how can we make this country a better place? And one thing Vice President Harris said in her speech that got a really positive response from the crowd was just how every politician is going to talk about the importance of voting,
right?
The importance of us winning. She took a moment. Remember, she talked about the importance of building community.
Yep. Yep.
And that resonated.
And people that disagree with her, she's not calling them the enemy.
Well, there was a troll.
Yep.
And the crowd, booed him out. And then she said, no, like, look.
Well, I don't know if the crowd necessarily booed.
I don't say they booed him.
They shouted
They
Kamala.
shouted Kamala. Yeah, they didn't boo. That's
Right.
a mischaracterization. But she did not call him the enemy from within.
Right.
And said, under a Kamala Harris administration, everybody has a seat at the table.
Yep. People that disagree with me will come to the table. So, I mean, This is what we're going to be facing tomorrow.
And you know what she didn't do? And nobody, none of the speakers before her. So we had Roy Cooper, Josh Stein, Wiley Nickel, His Golden Messenger, like open with some songs. That was sick. None of those people referred to America as a floating pile of garbage.
That's right. Or talked about how bad America was or how bad it is.
And nobody talked about Arnold Palmer.
Right. But I do
So,
love a good old Arnold Palmer, man. That's my go-to.
The drink, right? The
Take
beverage
with it what you
okay.
will.
All right. So it was, I mean, that event, it was what I hoped it would be.
Sure. But other than that, how are you feeling with Election Day coming?
So here's I'm going to say this, and it's not a prediction, but I think it is. I guess it is a prediction in some ways, but it's not a prediction over who's going to win or lose. It's we went to the state fair with our holler crew.
Yep.
And we had an awesome time, by the way. Folks, if go to our Patreon, become a friend of the Holler, and next year, y'all get to go to the state fair and have the time of your life.
A hootenanny, some would say.
I would call it a hootenanny.
Yeah.
It was great. I mean, we went on rides. We had all the food. Take it from me, don't do the muscadine slushy before the sizzler.
That's right.
Do the slushy after the sizzler.
Well, and it was nice, too, because, I mean, you and I have just been inundated with politics, North Carolina politics.
So stressful.
And just to see something awesome that North Carolina, our state, does, and everybody has a good time, regardless of where you're from.
I go to the state fair almost every year, and I don't remember it being like this in previous years. Like I remember I went in 2016, 2017. This was a really apolitical state fair.
Yeah, I mean you had some few.
There are the booths, right?
Yeah.
And you had the exhibition hall. You've got the parties have their booths and all that. But like walking around, I saw some folks with like "Get Out the Vote" shirts,
Right.
but I didn't see any partisan messaging.
Right.
And that was really refreshing. Mm-hmm. So, and that way, it just had this vibe of kind of like the Kamala Harris rally. It's like, we're all here, we're all vibing, we're all here to build community.
Well, I know I needed that state fair trip because honestly, I have been a wreck. I feel like I haven't been able to sleep good. I feel like my
You
mental
needed to get in that UFO and be spun around.
many a times. And if you're feeling this way, I think it's normal. I think I was listening to the radio where like 86% of Americans right now are feeling some type of anxiety about the election tomorrow.
Did you watch Mad Men, the TV show?
I'm aware of it. I didn't really
There
watch
was
it.
a clip. I can't remember what season it's in, and I can't remember whether it's around Kennedy's assassination, what was happening contemporaneously, like in the culture that was being depicted. But there's a line where like Pete, the character, his wife walks in and she's like, "Oh, you're drinking?" And he's like, "Honey, the whole country's drinking."
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
No matter where you stand, right? I think both sides of the aisle right now, Democrats and Republicans, they're both drinking right now because nobody knows what to do. And if anybody says they know what's going to happen, they're full of shit.
Yeah, they are.
Nobody knows what's
Well,
going
think
to
about
happen.
it. 2008 was supposed to be close. Obama blew it out. 2012, Romney was kind of favored.
Yeah,
If you look at
well,
polls back then, if you look at polls like coming into it,
Sure.
it was not. I mean, again, it's always hindsight's 2020.
Right.
Everybody's a Monday morning quarterback. If you look at 2016, obviously everybody thought Hillary,
That's
right? I
right.
mean, she had her celebration in a room with a glass ceiling,
Right.
So that just screams inevitability, but that didn't happen. And then 2020, Biden was supposed to be really far ahead. It was really close. Like I think what we've learned is that polls are snapshots in time. They're not nothing,
Right.
but they are in a sense like tea leaves or astrology, right?
Yes. And I am a Pisces.
Yeah,
I don't know what that means.
I am a Virgo. So
That's what a Virgo
somebody
would say.
listening will have a lot to say about, well, this is exactly the kind of conversation a Pisces and a Virgo would have.
Right. I have no idea.
But I think it is healthy for folks to be stressed because we care, and it is stressful.
It is.
I do think one thing that I feel comfortable telling folks, going back to, so we went to the state fair, and our wonderful friend of the Holler, Tressie Cottom, New York Times columnist, she's been on the show. She went with us, and I was talking to her, and she said, obviously we don't know who's going to win, but what we do know is that election night, the results are going to appear to favor Trump early on. And that's called the red mirage because the smaller rural counties will report their tallies earlier. I mean, it takes longer for Wake and Mecklenburg County.
Well, and that Republicans came out like
They came
mad
out
for early voting.
and it takes longer for Democratic strongholds, Durham, Wake, Mecklenburg. These counties, it takes them longer to tally their votes than, let's say, Randolph.
Yeah.
Or
Or even Alamance.
Alamance, even. Yeah, exactly. So it's gonna look. There's that red mirage.
Yeah, so don't freak out.
Don't freak
when
out.
you start seeing the red coming in.
It's to be expected, and then on top of that, there's what's called the blue shift, right? And people will remember this from 2020. I mean, the same thing happened in 2020. And what's going to happen on election night, like I would bet the farm on this, Trump's going to declare victory.
Whoa.
That's what he does.
Okay.
That's what he did in 2020. He declared victory on election night. We went 2 days as ballots came in. And if you remember, I was talking to my brother about this the other day. If you remember in 2020, there were certain places where he was like, stop counting.
Yeah.
And there are other places where he was like, keep counting. Georgia, keep counting. We need more
Right.
votes in Georgia. And there were certain
49,000
times in
votes.
Michigan where they were still counting around Detroit. And he was like, no, actually, we're done. We're done voting here. We got all the votes we need.
That's not democracy, bro.
And so what's going to happen is he's going to declare victory and he's going to start filing court cases. And we just need to be prepared
Well, that's
for
bold.
that.
Yes. I mean, regardless of the outcome, I think we are going to experience this election for the next month.
Yeah, next 3 months. Maybe.
It's going to be
all the way through
a
inauguration.
thing without a doubt. And no matter where it sways, and I would really love to see Harris and Walz win the presidency. I'm not going to go burn down the White House. I'm not going to go to the Capitol
I
building.
have every intention of this is a radical thing, but I think Quinn, you and I have every intention of respecting the peaceful transfer of power.
Yeah, it's gonna suck. I mean, but that's what you do. This is America.
That is the American way,
and
as I understood it.
And I just want to encourage everybody: if you haven't early voted and you're going to be voting tomorrow, or even if you have voted, text 5 of your friends. Me and my wife were talking about it the other day, and I was like, "Have you texted any of your friends to go vote?" And she was like, "Well, I think all my friends are voting." And then we just kind of like started going through our Facebook friends and people and stuff, and we're like, I don't know if they have or not. And we found 5 to 10 people that we texted and was like, hey, just go vote.
Over the past 3 to 4 weeks, I have just given myself permission to be obnoxious.
It's
like gently obnoxious, but it's too important not to.
It's Daniel telling me to go vote again.
And I'll tell you, the tough thing is that there are some folks, one in particular. I mean, I have a cousin who just told me I'm not voting, and it's the kind of thing where it's it hurts. For one, this is a person who has a lot to lose by not voting in terms of this person's life is going to be impacted pretty significantly. As a student at a public university working a close to minimum wage job, there's a lot riding on this for this person that they may or may not realize. But it's one of those things where it's you know what, at a certain point, you can't push people. I mean, people have to choose.
Yeah, they're gonna have to do it, and I'm sure most of you that are listening to this show are following politics and probably do vote and stuff. But I think we all can just take that one baby step, and it is awkward calling your friend and telling them to go vote, or texting your friend, or working the polls. But do it.
Yeah,
do it, because Sherry Beasley lost North Carolina by 400 votes. That's 5 votes per precinct in North Carolina. We can do this. We can do it.
Yeah, it's eminently doable. So
we just need 50.1% of the vote, and the Electoral College is going to give all 17 points of North Carolina.
Well, and then down the ballot, all these Council of State races that you and I have been kind of focused on this year.
They're all popular votes.
All popular vote. Super close. Super. I mean, it's. I think we can again bet the farm that maybe the supermajority will be broken, but the majority, the GOP will have a majority in the state legislature. I think that's a reasonable assumption. But these statewide races that you can't gerrymander are super close.
If there was anything I was betting the farm on, Daniel, is that Mini Soldier is gonna be packing.
When we saw Josh Stein at the rally, I had the thought where I was like, man, it must be really interesting. It must be great to be a political candidate and just know a week out from our election that
Unless something catastrophic happens,
he would
I
have
don't
to
see
work
this dude
really
losing.
hard. He would have to work.
And you can
really
even
hard.
see Robinson's messaging starting to change. Before it was like me, vote for me, and now it's like Republicans, everybody down the ballot.
Yeah.
Just like he.
Well, when
has
I
already been
saw him,
told.
it was like a week or two. It was about maybe 10 days after the mini soldier stuff had broke. I mean, that stuff, that was, by the way, that was a highlight of my election year, because I was on a plane and I got off the plane and I was in a group chat and like I had 150 unread messages and I was like, what in the world? And my first thought was, what did Mark Robinson do?
Right.
And damn it if he didn't.
Man, didn't.
And so I went and yeah, his messaging at that rally had totally changed. I mean, first it was really two things. One, let me lie to a bunch of people about what's going on in Western North Carolina. That was like the first nugget, was let me just
And I'm the only one helping.
I'm the only one helping. Yeah, it was hilarious to hear him talk about like, yeah, I went way out west, went to Hickory. And it was like, I'm not saying that's not Western North Carolina,
It's
but
not
like,
really Western.
I mean, it's not. I mean, yeah, right. Like he made it sound like he went up to Harris Cherokee Casino, and I mean,
Right.
It was so there was, and then the other part of his messaging was, don't necessarily vote. I mean, he didn't say don't vote for me, but he didn't even talk about himself.
Right.
He was talking about. I mean, just because he knows.
Vote the ballot.
He
Yeah.
knows, right?
Yeah.
He knows. So that's an interesting race. But yeah, man, I'm a nervous wreck.
Yeah, I think you and I, we've been trying to figure out where we're going to be election night. Home, probably. Nah, I hope not. But part of me kind of does just want to stay home, because I don't know if I can take it. And I'm really, really nervous how I will take, because this is a very real possibility here, that Trump wins presidency, Josh Stein wins governor, and we break the supermajority. So then,
And we could have some success locally here in Alamance County.
And so I guess my message to you guys that I've had to internally battle and wrestle with is, let's take the victories where they are and celebrate these people if they win.
Yeah.
Because they worked hard for it.
Yeah.
And even if Trump wins presidency and we get some down ballot races and break the supermajority and all this good stuff, let's try to be happy that night.
Well,
It's gonna be so damn hard.
It's stressful. Like I'm not planning on getting a lot of sleep over the next couple days. But here's where I am.
I'm gonna need a Valium.
I've done well. I was gonna say, yeah, we've already had this conversation. I'm gonna keep that off the record. But I've done, you've done, lots of folks have done as much as we can really have reasonably done.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't feel like there's an extra mile I could have pushed. Like, there's always one more door you could have knocked.
Sure.
There's always one more call you could have made. But at a certain point,
So do it.
But at a certain point, we have all done as much as we could have done, practically, reasonably speaking,
Sure.
right? Without seriously compromising our mental health and the quality of our relationships. And I think I might have even pushed that envelope a little too far in a few cases. But when it comes to election night, I think the case to be made for staying home is, look, the die is cast, and regardless of the result, the assignment's the same.
That's right.
We still got a country that we have to take care of. We still have bridges we need to build with our neighbors. We still have schools that we need to fund. Like yes, it's eminently consequential who wins and who loses, but ultimately, I mean, the way I think about it is like, I've still got to get up and walk my dog. I've still got to take out the garbage,
You do.
and I've still the problems that exist in our communities are going to exist. It's going to be up to us to fix them one way or the other.
Yep, regardless of the outcome.
Yeah.
We just got to do it.
That's what I'm telling myself.
Well, it sounds like a good mantra. I
Yeah,
like it.
yeah.
I mean, that's because we have to. My girls are going to have to go to school. They're still going to need pops, and we still have a community to build.
Right. And like, what, at a certain point, certain things are beyond our control. Like you and I, it was within our control to do a podcast this year and to have these interviews and conversations and to get the word out about things that we think are important in our community, state, and country.
Yep.
And that was within our control, and we did it. But at a certain point, yeah, I just think we have to say, well, look, it's out of my control. I did what I can do, and I'll continue to do what I can do. But I can't. We all can't be carrying the weight of the world.
Boy, does it feel that way sometimes.
It
though.
feels that
and
way.
I don't know why
it feels
does,
that way.
but it
Yeah.
does.
No, I mean, because we care.
Yeah, we do, and I think other people. I think people that disagree with me care.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. Like we're both praying. Who's gonna listen? You know, that's kind of what I think about, especially with the Civil War. Like both sides were praying that they
you're right.
win. And
yeah, I mean that was
God
I
flip
believe
a
that
coin?
was the motto of the Confederacy. It was I think it was oh gosh I don't want to butcher the Latin, but it was translated to God is with us, God on our side, essentially, or God will vindicate us, something like that.
yeah, that's maybe why he made them surrender.
Yeah, I mean definitely not a great motto in hindsight. You know,
Sure.
given I think they might have called that race a little too early.
But it's been a wild year.
It's been a great year.
I've been thankful for you.
Oh man,
thankful
likewise.
for our
thankful
our-
for myself too. No, it's just, no, Quinn. It's been a great year, and
yeah, thankful
we've-
for our listeners. Thankful for all the guests. And I honestly feel after tomorrow that the Holler has made some impact in North Carolina
no
politics.
doubt, dude. When we went to that Kamala Harris rally,
Yeah, I mean, it was cool just to see people and meet people that I didn't know.
Yeah.
but knew us.
I walked in through like the security, and somebody said, "Oh, like hometown holler, cool, good to see you." And I didn't know who. And I just thought, "Oh, that's neat." And I told my brother, "I was like, you saw that, right?" We had like 12 people come up to us for like self. I mean, it was really special.
Yeah, I mean, everybody likes a good ego stroke.
Well,
I
the
get
reason it
it,
was special is
but
because a lot of this, what we're doing,
it's reassuring.
It's reassuring, and making the podcast, doing the platform, like you and I do this. There's not a live audience in here with us.
Right.
We don't see the people who
Right.
are tuned in. So to know that they're out there, to know that they believe in this project and what we're doing, is really affirming.
which is a good transition,
Yes,
Daniel.
it is.
Is November 11th.
Speaking of a live audience,
It is going to be a Live and Hollerin' Part 2 with special guest Blair Reeves from
Season
Carolina
finale.
Ford
Yeah.
at Elon University at 6 p.m. And we would love to pack this out. You can definitely follow our socials. We'll put the stuff up there. But it'll be a live audience. It'll be our season finale. We're going to take a little holiday break. And
I'm really excited. We have Blair as for one, he's just a fun guy.
yeah.
And on top of that, he just has such an astute, like he's got his finger on the pulse. And a lot of you guys will already know him because he kind of posts the daily updates. Like, here's what's happening in North Carolina. Here's what happened this weekend in North Carolina politics. He has, I think, like, it's almost like he went and got his master's in like North Carolina politics and like just how to communicate it, like political communication.
Yeah, and
He
that's what
breaks
we're
down
going to be
these-
talking about.
We're going to be talking about
what happened
what
this
happened,
election.
what does
'cause
it mean?
I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
No idea.
And then where do we go from here?
Where do we go? So
I'm looking forward to that.
It's going to be great. Folks, thank you so much for supporting the podcast, for tuning in. If you haven't already, we really invite you and encourage you to consider becoming a patron. Our patrons are the folks who literally keep our lights on.
Yeah.
So they support us by giving us a couple bucks every month. And in return, they get cool stuff. Like, we took them to the state fair, get that T-shirt. We've had bonus episodes come out from the back porch throughout the season. Like you said, Quinn, we are going to take kind of a holiday break. I don't know that we have a determined resume date, but there's a Holler season 2 in the works.
Yep.
Backed by popular demand.
Well, and if you guys have anything that you would like us to talk
Yeah, hit
about,
us up.
know any guests that we probably should reach out to, we would love that. Like, we're ready. We're booking. I think we've got a couple already in the hopper ready to go. So it would be real cool. Just what do you guys want? What do y'all want to hear?
Yeah. So voice of the people, let us know. I think that's all, Quinn. I think we're ready to.
Yeah, I think I'm ready to pour my crown. Put a little squeeze of lime, finish it off with a spritz of ginger ale, and watch what the fuck happens.
Where's that Valium?
It's in the back pocket.
All right, y'all. Thanks for listening. We'll see y'all later.
Take care.